Hey, Christian, how's it going, man?
Hey, morning, Eric. We're just gearing up for a massive storm tonight. I think
Really?
we're supposed to get like 6 to 9 inches. Yeah, we already have feet of snow. It's a little nuts. I'm
Yeah.
so sore. I'm so sore from shoveling, so sore from roof raking.
Oh, man. You
But
got a
yeah, it's fine.
snowblower?
Dude, I got these two babies, dude. Come on. That's all I need.
Fair enough. Fair
My
enough.
driveway isn't that big, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the number of times I would need a snowblower, I can't justify the price.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, anyways, for those of you who are listening to this podcast for the first time, this is our first podcast on Spotify. You can find a lot more that we've already put out on YouTube, but Christian and I felt it'd be a good idea to make a introduction video, just kind of setting the stage for what this podcast is all about for those of you who are interested. So I'll start first here, just talk a little bit about myself, and I'll let Christian take it from there. So my name is Eric Norman. I'm a physical therapist. I work in Winona, Minnesota, and I work in an outpatient orthopedic sports clinic. I also do a good amount of like vestibular, like dizziness, balance type treatment as well. I graduated from PT school coming up on 3 years now from the University of New England. You can probably see that behind Christian's video if you're watching the video right now. Both of us graduated from there. And Christian was actually my clinical instructor my second year in PT school. So that's how Christian and I got to know each other. And so I would like to think that for the most part, we have the same thought processes in terms of how to treat, what to look for, our viewpoints on different things. I would say when it comes to treatment or like my style of physical therapy, and we'll get into this more here once we talk about the brand Flexed Mettle. I would say that my style is more active and more talkative. I think, I don't know if I can talk for yourself, Christian, but I would say that we like to really empower patients with movement and exercise and just try and, give the truth on what the research really says on a bunch of different things, because we both know that there's a lot out there. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. Christian, if you want to take over from there.
Sure. My name's Christian Jorns. I'm from the South Chicago suburbs, but I moved to Maine in 2013 to go to the University of New England. Graduated in 2016, so I'm practicing for almost 9 years this year. Going off of Eric's comments about his treatment style, I'm very similar. I'm more active based. I try to get people moving. It's been joked that I do a lot of therapizing, which is like being kind of a therapist and talking about how people feel about things and asking lots of questions and all that stuff. So I do love doing that. But I'm also a big supporter of manual therapy. So I do a lot of deep tissue work. I crack joints, all that kind of stuff as a supplement to the more active based treatment. And then regarding activities, I like to bounce around things that I like to do, but generally I love lifting weights. So for a while I did Olympic weightlifting and then powerlifting for many years. Now I'm actually bored of powerlifting. So in the last 6 months, I've been getting back into Olympic weightlifting. And I also like to run. I like to run with my dog. We're training for some canine cross events, and we're looking forward to that.
Nice, man. Nice. I didn't even think about hobbies or activities either. What am I doing? I'm not even giving a full picture of myself to people who are listening right now. So I guess I also want, as you talked about manual therapy there, I would say I'm not as big into manual therapy as you are, Christian. Again, no knock on that or anything. It's just different treatment styles there. I would say the same way that you supplement with manual therapy, I supplement with dry needling. So sticking very small needles into different muscles, different areas in the body, and utilizing electrical stim with that to get hopefully pain relief and really just improve your exercise or movement thereafter. And then also activities and whatnot. I also have a past of doing Olympic weightlifting. I don't do it as like traditional anymore, but I definitely mix it into my workouts. More of those plyometric, more of those explosive type movements. It's just fun to mix up, who wants to just squat heavy every day? Even as much as I love squatting, we gotta mix it up a little bit and throw some different things in there. And then also, I would say golf is probably my one of my passions outside of all that. It's definitely the one thing in the spring through fall, because in Minnesota you can't really golf in the winter. I like to spend a lot of time outside with that. And yeah, it's a nice getaway from the business and the clinic and whatnot, just to be outside and relax on a golf course for a little bit.
And now going more into what our business is about, The way I see it is this business has been many years in the making. After Eric graduated, he and I stayed in touch. We would do monthly journal clubs. And it was just a really fun way to stay in touch and keep learning and teaching each other. Over the years, so one thing led to another, and now we've started this business. And so I guess the first thing I want to start with is what's in a name? Why did we pick this name? And so the name Flexed Mettle was born out of our own experiences with pain and injury, combined with realizations about what patients are the most successful. The people that do the best are the ones that are able to roll with the punches. It's the ones that in the face of challenges and adversity, they take it head on with a good attitude and handle the situations in a spirited way. And that's what Mettle is all about. It's recognizing that this is temporary. I will get better, and I will get better faster if I'm able to maintain a solid attitude throughout my painful journey. And then you can take the flexed part of our name to mean many things, but the primary interpretation for us boils down to one word: pride. You're flexing your pride in your achievements. You've worked so hard for the resilience that you have, and we think you should be proud of what you've become. Be proud of what you've made. And pride is not arrogance. Pride is a measured and realistic sense of yourself, and we think it should be encouraged and celebrated when it's earned.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add on to that. Got riled up while you were talking there, Chris. I want to run through a brick wall or something. That was great. No, I think that's spot on, everything that you mentioned there. And I just want to double down on that and say how important it is, I think, to, really empower or encourage individuals in this aspect of, flexing their resilience. I think so often in the medical field, not just in PT, but just the medical field in general, both if you see a doctor in clinic or if you're, reading stuff online, I just think there's a lot of negative stuff out there in terms of how we talk and what people say can make people feel like, well, damn, I guess I'm not moving right. My body isn't good enough. This pain is my fault. Whatever the messages that come across, I'm not strong enough. I'm not flexible enough, whatever it is. Those approaches can work because it makes people motivated to move more and to work out more, whatever that might be. But I think the approach of Flex Mettle is really a more of an optimistic approach in trying to get our clients and patients to feel that empowerment of like, hey, yeah, I got pain right now, but look at all the great things I'm doing and working through that with one another.
Yeah. And then Eric and I are both full-time physical therapists. Like he said, he practices in orthopedic, sports, and vestibular rehab. I only do orthopedics and sports. But we also are, I would say, nerds. And we're also kind of weird in that we like talking about our profession in our free time. We like reading about this stuff in our free time. And so this podcast is something that was going to happen anyways in the background. So we're like, why the hell shouldn't we just turn a camera on and just start talking about it? So the major thing that we set out to do different than other people in our industry with this sort of plan is we feel like not enough people talk to you. Not enough people talk to real people. And that's our day to day, is we're talking to real people with real problems. I feel like most of the people that are making content in the fitness and rehab industry are like lecturing. They're lecturing to you and they get really jargony, and some of the lengths on these podcasts are 2 to 3 hours. And I just don't think most people are going to listen to that. And even if they do, it's probably in the background while they're doing a bunch of other stuff. So they're probably not getting a whole lot of useful information from it. And even if you are getting some, it's like, how do you put it into practice? How do you make it work for you in your life? And so one of our major goals with this podcast is to do our best to talk to you as if you were in front of us, as if we're having a real conversation. And we're going to try to keep the lecturing to a minimum and just do it when it's appropriate. But even then, we're going to try to use as little jargon as we can, because you really can't get away with that when talking to people in the clinic.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great points to bring up. And it should be noted that as much as Christian and I, we nerd out on things, which I love that you bring that up. It's totally true. I've heard people say like, oh, you should leave work at work and you shouldn't bring work home, that type of stuff. And it's like, well, I would say, I think I can speak for both of us, Christian. We just think this stuff is really interesting and cool. So it's like we have something in clinic that we want to look more into, like, yeah, come home and look it up, because it's kind of fun to learn more and to implement more of that stuff into the practice. So with that being said, as much as we can nerd out on things, I would also say that we're both pretty passionate about stuff. And so every now and then on the podcast, you might hear Christian or I like kind of go off on some tangents because we do get pretty passionate about things. And we're not trying to throw shade at people. We're not trying to start anything. We get a little passionate about stuff. So we kind of go down some funny pathways or talks on that. But anyways, the other thing I want to mention too with kind of the, I guess, like fitness or health industry is I totally recognize, I'm sure you do too, Christian, that like not everyone can afford a, $500 pair of shoes, right? Or not everyone can afford a $300 test or something, whatever it might be. And so I think the other approach that we take as well is not just talking as if we're talking to individuals face to face, but also realizing like the more practical stuff. We're not promoting things. We're not saying like, oh, like we're sponsored by so-and-so. And, if you want this to get better, you need to purchase a $600 whatever. Like, no, we're just trying to say, hey, here's the research and here's what we know is best. And, like you said, Christian, bring that into light of a more laid back conversation piece.
Yeah, everything we do is going to be grounded in the best evidence we have. But also the thing to be totally real with you guys about is that our evidence is very limited. There's a lot that goes on in physical therapy, rehabilitation in general, that is a stylistic choice. It's made based on principles and not so much this is the exact recipe you need to find success with your injury. That's not how it works. So we have to make sure that we're always open about when something is an opinion and honestly just share it freely. Too many people I think are afraid to say like, this is my opinion. This is what I believe. Here's why I believe it. They're too stuck in saying, oh, this is what this research article says, and that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, that's useful to an extent, but it's also not what real humans do in real life on the job. And I think you're doing people a huge disservice by not acknowledging that. And then because of that, because we're going to be freely expressing our opinions and we're passionate, perhaps some shade will be thrown, but if it is, it's because they deserved it. And, and we are going to make some mistakes, of course. And when they're pointed out, we will own them because honesty and integrity are critical to our credibility. That's just like who we are as people. And it's going to be who we are with this podcast and our business.
Absolutely, man. So no, it's all good stuff. Let's talk about kind of what we offer. So obviously we got the podcast. So we offer this, YouTube, Spotify. We post clips and whatnot on Instagram and Facebook. So you can find us all on that at Flexed Mettle. But then other things that we also offer services via online. So programming services, monthly programming services that we offer one-on-one. So that involves a kind of like an intake conversation discussing what your goals and what you want to do. And then from there, we make a full-on month program for you with check-ins throughout that month, talk about how things are going, and really just tailor it to exactly what you want. If that's getting back to a sport, preventing injury, whatever that might be. So that's one of the services. Another service that we offer, Christian and I being physical therapists. Christian lives in the Portland, Maine area. I live in Winona, Minnesota, which is, people who aren't familiar, like 2 hours southeast of the Twin Cities, kind of by like a little bit by like La Crosse, Wisconsin area. And so we also offer in-person treatments as well. So if you're in those areas and you want some in-person treatments, we're more than happy to meet up and do some actual physical therapy, hands-on. And then lastly, what we offer too is more of a consultation service via online. So the purpose behind that, and I want to bring up a story into this, Christian, is trying to help people navigate their aches and pains and what the next best step is. I was in the sauna yesterday at the local YMCA and, just sitting around with a bunch of older guys. And well, there was one younger guy in there too. And we started talking and I told him, oh, I'm a physical therapist. And he's like, oh, I do jujitsu and I hurt my elbow a couple months ago. I'm like, oh, dang, like that, like how's that been going? He's like, it's better now. I'm like, did you do anything for it? Just kind of asking questions. And he's like, well, it popped when I was training and it was pretty painful. He's like, I went to the ER and I'm like, oh, like what'd they say? He's like, oh, the ER just told me to just kind of rest and let it be and take some time off of training. And he's like, that's what I did and it got better. I'm like, oh, that's good, And he kind of made this comment of, he's like, yeah, but it kind of sucked. I had to pay $300 for the ER visit just for them to tell me to rest and take time off. I'm like, yeah, that does suck. And then I promptly told him about our service. I'm like, yeah, you can pay a pretty small amount of cash to us, $30 or so, and we can have a conversation around what the next best steps are. So for someone in his case, I would like to think he could have avoided a $300 charge if he knew about our service, and we could have, had that much cheaper consultation and likely tell him the same thing of what to do and likely get the same outcome for a lot less money. So those are kind of our big three services: the online programming, online consultations, and also in-person treatments for physical therapy. Christian, anything to add on to that?
Nope. I think you nailed it.
Awesome. Sweet. Okay. So yeah, any other closing remarks then, Christian, on kind of this intro podcast to Flexed Mettle?
Yeah, we want to make this for you all. And so if you have things that you want to know more about, if you have feedback for us and how we can better disseminate content to you all, we'd love to hear it. So feel free to share.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, that's all I got. That's all Christian got. We'll let you guys go for now. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Thanks for listening. And like Christian said, reach on out if you have anything, ideas, questions, want to get in on some online training or in-person treatment or a consultation of that sort. Again, you can find us at Flexed Mettle on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Reach out to us with any questions. All right. See you guys later. Thanks for listening.